Hi everyone, Brian Krall here from True Life Development at beautiful Highland Park in Rochester, New York. You're probably wondering why I've started doing my videos outside of my home office recently. And the answer to that is because I was inspired to do different types of videos. And the topic for today's video is going to explain this perfectly. This is a video that I've wanted to do for a very long time. The topic of familiarity. Notice how down there you have the road, sort of the normal road, the road most travel. We could have gone along that road into the park, but instead I'm choosing to go up a lot of steps. And this is going to help me begin to illustrate the concept of familiarity perfectly. You've probably heard that saying, I chose to travel the road less traveled. This is a really perfect illustration for familiarity because most people live their lives in a comfort zone and are afraid to venture off of the beaten path. I was recently taking a marketing course and it talked about how all that people really need in order to buy a product is for them to have seen that product, the image of it or the brand or the logo somewhere, and they would choose that product over a better product that they hadn't seen before. And this is something that I knew, but I was taking this course on marketing psychology and the guy relayed a study about it. I didn't know that there had actually been studies done on familiarity. And around that same time, I was sort of reintroduced to this park here in Rochester because there's an annual festival here, which I always attend. But the park is very huge and I had forgotten just how huge it was. I had become limited to the section of the park that the festival takes place at. And it's ironic because I was constantly inviting all of my friends out to the festival. And you know, I'm a big promoter, so I promote what I love, and I was promoting the festival to my friends, trying to get them to come out to it. Not a lot of people were coming out, and I was like, you know, don't get stuck in your comfort zone. You're always complaining that there's not enough to do. Here's something to do. A couple of times I went alone, and I ended up taking some photographs of all the beautiful flowers. I'll show you here. We've got so many beautiful flowers that I was really inspired by and compelled to photograph. And I started venturing into parts of the park that I had never been before and realizing that there's like all these little winding paths I had never taken. And I realized that I, in fact, myself had gotten confined to a zone of familiarity, a comfort zone. Started wandering around the park more and more. Oh, there goes a hummingbird. Finding myself on this little adventure. Every day I would go to the festival, you know, I'd go to see the concert and to eat some of the food from the vendors and stuff and talk to the people there and network. But I would really focus largely on venturing out into parts of the park that I had never been to and found that it was actually much more vast and sprawling than I had even known or realized. And the point here is that even people who are the adventurous types can get confined to a zone of familiarity. And I found that there was a playground for my son that I took him to, and we ventured out into some parts of the park together with his bike, and I found like some really beautiful areas that I hadn't been to for a while, but I ended up remembering them, being like, hey, you know, I had been here like 10 years ago. I used to hang out here with my friends, and I'd forgotten all about that. It's interesting that I had actually forgotten about certain places in the park that I had been before, and it shows how your mind forms a reality based around what is familiar, and you can forget about things outside of this reality. Isn't that interesting? Oh, look, there's a squirrel, or a chipmunk. Isn't it so interesting that even though we know certain things exist, we will actually forget they exist because of the fact that your reality is shaped around what is familiar. Your concept of reality is based upon what you perceive most often and what is most familiar. So I had forgotten about such beautiful places in this park as this reservoir, which we're approaching right now, and this lookout area which looks out over the entire city and its outerlying metro and countryside. I'd forgotten that this even existed because it wasn't part of my familiarity zone. It wasn't part of my normal, average daily reality. And so in effect it ceased to exist to me. And my reality became limited, which for me is saying a lot because of the fact that I am such an adventurous person. I try so hard to live life outside of my comfort zone, but even people who do that most consciously can still at times get trapped in a comfort zone and in a limited reality of familiarity, okay? Just give you a shot here of this beautiful reservoir and the outerlying countryside, the whole horizon here. And so what I started doing was trying to explore every part of this park that I possibly could. I expanded my horizons so much and found so much more pleasure in the past couple of weeks of exploring this park than I have found perhaps in the past year. It's so interesting how once I made so much more of a conscious effort to broaden my horizons and explore every bit of this park that I had never seen before, how much more quickly and ultimately my reality not only expanded, but my ability to experience it expanded, and my enjoyment of experiencing it expanded as well. I got so much pleasure out of those days of exploration, and I decided finally to take you, my camera, and my viewers through the camera on one of these adventures exploring this park and all of the different places in it. Look at this. This is a basin here, perhaps formed by a glacier of some sort, and just a beautiful area. My son really loves climbing up and down this path here, and I don't know if you can see how steep it is. It is extremely steep, but it just goes to show you how someone whose perspective has not been solidified into a reality, a familiarity-based reality of limitation and a comfort zone, will be so much more apt to experience things in the fullest capacity and want to push himself to the edge of his ability to experience life, and to be able to just try to live life in the most ultimate way and experience very ultimate things, even if it means living on the edge. And he just, every time we're here, he wants to go up and down this path, just up and down, because he just craves that peak experience. He craves that peak experience, and that's what I've been able to have again, finally, in this park. There are some peak experiences that my life was missing, and most of the people who I know are missing peak experiences so much more than me. And that's sad, because I know how I feel when I feel like I'm missing peak experiences and getting confined to a life of familiarity and a comfort zone and monotony, and I try so hard to push myself out of it, but even I have gotten caught back in it sometimes. And that means that for normal people, they're really stuck in what is familiar. They're so stuck in a life of monotony and a life of stagnation and doing the same thing every day. Their lifestyle is no longer advancing forward or upward. Their lifestyle is no longer expanding. It has contracted and constricted and become confined in that comfort zone where they're not living life as an adventure as they could. They're not living life to the fullest. They're living life at a baseline level of existence. They're stuck at a threshold of comfort and security, not going anywhere beyond that. They're not having peak experiences. They're not doing exciting things, having adventurous experiences, and they're not journeying through any type of advancement in gaining life experience or expanding their horizons or their reality. And that's what I'm here to help people do, because of the fact that that's how I have been able to get the most out of life for myself and what I believe life to really be about. And I know that I've been more conceptual and treated this kind of like an inspirational video so far, but let's go back to that marketing psychology study, just to really give you a very scientific idea of what familiarity means in psychology and lifestyle. So this study showed that people, when given the opportunity to buy products and having one product that they were familiar with, not in having any knowledge of the product whatsoever, mind you, but only being familiar with the brand and the logo and the image, having only seen the image of the product and knowing nothing about it, and then having a different product, which was oftentimes higher quality, people would most always choose the product they were familiar with. Understand? And it was never based on their knowledge of the product. It was just based on the fact that that was an image that had been imprinted into their mind. Their mind had been programmed with the familiarity of that product. And that's all it takes for people to think that that reality is absolute. When reality is not absolute, of course. Reality is relative. And when you're given the choice between two products, and you're only choosing based on the familiarity of one product, you're limiting yourself from a product that may actually be much, much better. And it's unfortunate because I know a lot of very high quality products out there that people are not buying just because there's other brand names that are more popular and are on more billboards, on more ads, and people choose them even though they're lower quality. And I will ask these people, why are you choosing this product? And they'll say, oh, because that's just what I always do. That's what my dad did. My dad told me it was good, and I've always had that product, right? And I'll be like, okay, well, you know that there's this other one that is actually much higher quality. Have you ever tried that? And they'll say no. And to actually get them to even step outside of their comfort zone and that familiar reality and try a new product is oftentimes just extremely difficult, not even worth my bother, right? Because I'm not a brand ambassador for that product or anything. I'm just someone who cares about others' experiences and their ability to live life to the fullest. And so it's really just something that's been an interesting concept for me to see and explore, because people do limit themselves to what is familiar when there are better things out there, and people are not making decisions about what to involve in their reality based on what they think is best. They're only doing it based on what they think is familiar. Really wrap your head around that concept. It is a common saying among neurolinguistic programmers and certain psychologists that familiarity is actually the greatest human drive and the greatest human addiction. It's not the drive for food or sex, and there's no addiction to drugs or any other thing that is stronger than the drive and addiction to familiarity. People will make decisions about what to involve in their lives not based on data, but based on familiarity. And that is so limiting. And if I was allowing myself to be stuck in a zone of familiarity, I would have never encountered such beautiful places in Rochester as this, what is called the Sunken Garden. And I had to really explore my reality and look for new data to involve in it, and new elements, new information to involve in my decision-making processes of what to do with myself and what my reality was going to involve in order to discover really beautiful places like this, which not a lot of people discover. This is a hidden place. Understand? Look at this beautiful, beautiful place. It's like a castle. I took my son here, we call it a castle, even though it's just a, like a courtyard and garden area. And I just want you to get this idea in your head that this is a place that is pretty much, just right off of the road here. You've got the road right there. See, there's cars on it. But yet it's somewhat hidden. And not very many people know about this place because of the fact that it is so hidden, okay? And most of the people who come here are the types of people who are adventurers, people who enjoy hiking and biking and having wilderness adventures and seeing sights, but those are very far and few between. There's just not a whole lot of people who actually do this stuff, who actually seek out new experiences, who actually seek to have adventures and discover new forms of beauty and new life experiences that they can have in this world. Understand? And That to me is very sad. It's very sad and disheartening. And that's one of the things that I really am motivated to help people do more with their lives, to live them to the fullest and expand their horizons and their realities, to be able to have as much life experience as they possibly can and expand their reality to the greatest possible that they can, and just live to the fullest potential that they have. But you can only do that if you're exploring, and that's what most people don't want to do. You see, most people actually don't want to explore the world around them, explore the potential for their reality to be more. Most people are addicted to what is familiar. They're addicted to their comfort zone. And that is something that is scary. It's scary because it's so limiting. Nothing is going to be more limiting to you in life than that. It's going to be extremely limiting, and you may end up stuck there in that zone for a long, long time, the rest of your life in some cases. And if you could just learn to explore things more, look for new reference experiences, look for new points of reference in the world around you, look for new data and information about what is right and what can help you to make better decisions about things, be they products that you want to try or experiences that you want to have, or things that you want to do with your lifestyle, ways that you want to live your life. Because the more you expand your horizons and develop more points of reference, the better you're going to live your life. You're going to have a greatly enhanced lifestyle when you have more points of reference to give you more awareness over the world reality around you. Once you have done that, you're going to be able to make better decisions about what to do with your life. You're going to be able to live life more fully when you have more data and more information and more points of reference about the world around you. You're going to be able to live your life so much more fully and make better decisions about what to do with yourself, enhance your lifestyle greatly, and advance yourself in life onward and upward to do newer and greater things. And you're going to have then more beauty in your life and more enjoyment in having more life experiences and a better lifestyle. That is living life to the fullest. That is achieving your potential. That is self-actualization. But you have to treat your life like an adventure. You have to venture off of the beaten path where most people live, in that line that they walk of familiarity. You have to walk off of that. Just venture off of that zone of familiarity, that comfort zone, and engage yourself in new experiences and new reference points. Search for new points of reference. Search for new data. Search to enlighten yourself and have more awareness about the world around you so that you can increase your life in it. Increase your horizons. Increase the scope of your reality. And venture further and further onward and upward in life. Once you do that, you'll be able to break yourself free of that stagnation and that monotony in life. And you will really find yourself having more fulfillment, developing yourself to the highest capacity possible, and achieving this thing called self-actualization, where you become an idealized self and develop a lifestyle that you've always wanted to have, where you are fulfilling your life's purpose and your ideal of yourself and what your life should be. And that is a very beautiful and ultimate thing that is really what everyone wants in life, but no one actually puts forth the effort and uses their mental capacity and their potential as human beings to achieve. But you can achieve this. You just have to be venturing out and looking for the fulfillment that you can get in life, looking for the achievement of your life's purpose and your pursuits that you can have, looking for new experiences and ways to expand your reality and have more. Look, I'm just actually even venturing through a fence in an area that was fenced off. Okay? And you can do that. You can do that. You can break through barriers. You can break through barriers into whole new areas. You can expand your reality beyond certain bounds that are placed upon you by society and the powers that be and social conditioning. You can break through those boundaries and those barriers and limitations that you might have being placed upon you to venture into new territory in life, to gain new insight and information and experience in life, and really increase the scope of your reality and your life experience so that you can live it to the fullest and develop yourself to a very ultimate level of being.